What is this? Where is Pink?
She's gone.
What did you say? Answer me!
She's gone!
This person's finally getting it why you walked away from them. Okay, they're finally getting, okay, you know, why you put distance in a relationship, and they're finally looking at you like, okay, you know what, this person changed. Okay, this person went through a transformation. This person is no longer who they were in the past. Okay, something about dragon energy here. Dragon energy can be very stubborn. Okay, that can be a very stubborn individual. Okay, this could have been a family member or a past love situation that you guys were dealing with, or it could have been a family friend as well, or a friend in your environment. But dragon energy can be very much so like, okay, you know what? I saw who you were. My first interpretation of you, that's just it. Okay, it's a very like, okay, what you see is what you get type of energy, and sometimes it can have this arrogant factor where it's like, you know what, instead of saying, okay, in time people are going to change, people are going to be, you know, more adaptable to changes and more so in a different type of thought process when it comes to their daily lives. Okay, this person could have like, you know, a very much so a strong routine or a path where they're used to going to a certain type of way. Okay, they could have like a lot of earth in their chart. Okay, and just because they have a limited growth process in themselves doesn't mean that, you know, other people are going to be in their environment with that same type of energy. And this person's realizing, oh my goodness, I made a horrible judgment call. You got the fire ants in reverse. Okay, this person's prone to just really see things from, you know, a limited perspective, and they tend to get aggressive when it comes down to not really hearing other people's mindset. Okay, you know, you guys probably went through a whole spiritual awakening. Okay, you got the buffalo energy right here. When it came to really having like an in-depth knowledge of yourself and having more so an emotional understanding as far as like what needs to change in your life, you took that in stride and basically created a new level of stability in your life and a new level of practicality. And this person's really realizing, okay, oh, these changes were for real. Okay, you're no longer that same person in the past. Okay, and it took a long time for them to really grapple with that. Okay, and they really saw you from this limited type of perspective. Like I said, if this was coming from a parent, okay, they could have had this thought process where it's like, okay, well, you know, I raised you, I know how you are, but when you have an adult child, okay, they're going to change. They're going to go on their own pathway, okay? You know, they're going to have their own type of viewpoints, their own type of mind. And this person's realizing with them having this type of aggressive type of energy, that pushes you away. That puts you away to a whole new journey. That puts you away to a whole new, you know, support system. And, you know, this person probably looking at things from a very traditional type of lens where it's like, you know, well, you have family here. Okay, yeah, that's valid. But if that family and that support system is not really, you know, there for you, they're not really understanding as far as like, you know, how to be emotionally present for you in a situation, you're realizing, hey, this person has to be put in a very, you know, in a distant type of perspective or with, you know, some heavy boundaries because they're not open to really understanding who you are as a person. Okay, and you guys are no longer being in a space where, you know, you're allowing that person to sort of like, you know, have this controlling type of energy and push you in a space where, you know, you're limited or you're putting yourself back into, you know, who you were in the past. Okay, you guys are no longer being in that space where you're holding on to your past self. Okay, you guys have that, you know, strong notion as far as who you are. You have that strong type of mindset when it comes down to really understanding change is necessary in your environment. And this person is really, you know, they're kicking themselves a little bit because they're like, why did it take me so long to see that this person is no longer, you know, has the same interests or they had the same, they don't have the same type of belief system that I have, or, you know, when it comes down to like, you know, looking at life or looking at people, they don't have the same type of view. Okay, and they're realizing they're playing, you know, just they're sort of being hard on themselves because you guys have told them this before, like, hey, you know what, I don't agree with that. Okay, let's like, you know, let's just sort of let's not put that type of thought process on me. Okay, or let's not try to like, you know, be overly assuming a role as far as like, you know, putting this control perspective in our environment where we can just sort of learn to like, you know, learn each other a different way, learn each other from a level of communication that's a little bit stronger. You know, you guys are realizing that this person is like, you know, they had this regret type of factor, but, you know, they have to really sort of have this accountability. Hey, you know what? They knew what was going to happen. They knew what was going to happen, like I said, later on in time when it came down to like, you know, really cultivating, you know, a positive type of relationship with you. They're realizing that, hey, if I didn't put in my effort, okay, if I was not, emotionally present in the situation, hey, this situation is sort of closed, okay? This situation is very restricted from where it was in the past. And that's something that they have to come to terms with, guys, for themselves. And that's something that you guys are really allowing yourself to really have that understanding. And also, like I said, you're not putting yourself in this place where you had this guilty type of conscience that the relationship was not worked on. Okay. You establish, your thought process. You establish, okay, where you were mentally in the interaction. Okay. And this person really did not really see or take you seriously, but now they do. Now they do. Let's get a little bit further into the reading with the tarot deck here. Let's see here. We got the 9 of Cups. We got the 5 of Swords. I also pulled the Queen of Cups in reverse. The Devil card here. The Chariot. Okay, I'm going to pull a few more cards. King of Wands. Let's see, the 5 of Wands here, and the Star card. All right. Let's get started with your reading. So you guys are in this 9 of Cups perspective. You guys are independent when it comes down to your journey right now, okay? Because you're going away from sneaky behavior, 5 of Swords. That sneaky behavior, you're going away from people who no longer really serve a purpose in your life, okay? You're going away from the gossiping type of energy that this person really brought to the table, okay? To sort of like had that type of control. You got this Queen of Cups in reverse that came up in the reading, and that's someone that would use anything to get you back in a type of viewpoint, to get you back in a type of action that they seem are deemed more appropriate, okay? You're realizing that you're no longer putting yourself under a master manipulator, okay? And this person, no matter, if they feel this, apologetic energy towards you, okay, you're realizing that this person has this massive manipulation in their their personality, okay, and they're not this person takes a long time to really grow, to really understand what they bring to the table. With their remorse in the situation, they're still controlling. Okay, they're still controlling. They still have this mass manipulator type of energy. Okay, and you're realizing that going back to the situation without boundaries will put you in this devil perspective. Okay, and put you back into this place of codependency, because by and large, this person wants you still to be sort of codependently tied to them. They understand that you are a different type of person. They understand that you have different type of values. So they understand that you look at life differently from them. But they still had this need for control of the situation. And they'll do anything in their power to get that, because they're not really coming from a healed direction. It's just coming from a very logical, perspective that, okay, you know what, this person in my life, okay, the collective of my life, they have went through their spiritual changes, okay? I just have to sort of go about, hiding my hand more, okay? But it's not coming out like, okay, they're your equal in the situation. They still have their own toxic perspective, when it comes down to their, overall environment that they lean into heavily, okay? You guys are on this chariot ride right now. You guys are just moving on, okay? You're going after people who are able to sort of grow with you in a positive direction, okay? And you guys have this King of Wands perspective where you're no longer being, having your light dimmed out by someone who wants to have you in this controlling perspective, okay? They're coming in like, okay, I know everything about you, but they have a very limited type of viewpoint, okay? Because they only see things from, their short-sighted type of mindset, okay? This person is very much so short-sighted. It's, very much so a black and white type of person, okay? They only see things one type of way, okay? And you no longer are having yourself tied to someone who has this, limited perspective, okay? You're burning away, King of Wands, you're burning away things that no longer serve you, and you're burning away connections that no longer bring you happiness, okay? And like I said, even if this is like a family environment, you have strong boundaries with the situation. You know how much of their energy that you can take, and you know when to move on from the situation, okay? Because you got on the right type of defenses at 7 of Wands. You know how to defend yourself properly, okay? You know how to, like I said, have that type of energy in this right perspective. And hey, like I said, you may have like an emotional, understanding, or you have that emotional type of, compassion for this person, okay? But you still know that it will rob you of your new beginning. It will rob you of being in this star type of energy, okay? Because this person wants to put you back in that box perspective, okay? They want you to have that limited viewpoint. They want you to be in a place where you're not actively growing when it comes down to, like, understanding how to navigate different types of spaces. Okay, you guys right now, like I said, you're in the right type of mode because you guys are moving into a new beginning where you're gonna be, like I said, you're the main character of your show. Okay, and this person no longer has access to the same person they met years ago. Okay, they no longer have that access. They no longer have that type of perspective. They're now in a space where they have to really watch you win, watch you in a positive situation when it comes down to, like, your new chapter in life. Okay, and that's the healthiest thing, guys. Okay, all right, guys. This is your collective reading for the month of October. Looking forward to talking to you soon. Have a good one.
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.